Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. So today I'm going to be doing a continuation of the Trailblazer finally, after the mishap I had up in Woodward, up in Detroit. Got up there, washed up the truck, and then I was going to hit the road, go out with some of the other guys for a little cruise on Woodward. When coming out of the hotel, made a little hit and then got a really bad noise. Here's a clip of that. So first I'm thinking, oh, maybe it was a transmission, or something along those lines, because engine was revving up, but nothing to the wheels at all. Took it to a shop. They can look at it, though. They were like, well, maybe the rear planetary gear or something in the transmission and so forth. But the shop didn't have time to look at it because the guy was leaving to go on vacation. So drove it back down here to Ohio, and then took Ruby the Denali up and finished the weekend off. So, but once I got back, I got this up in the air and put, turn it on, put it in gear, and the rear wheels moved and the front drive shaft moves, but nothing to the front. So that tells us that it's either the front differential or the front coupler disconnect, which is kind of common on the all-wheel drive systems for these Trailblazers. That's usually, I believe it's the front coupler disconnect, is what a lot of people say. So I'm deciding to go a different route instead of just fixing that. So I picked up a four-wheel drive transfer case for the truck, so I can just set that in two-wheel drive and have the truck as rear-wheel drive. So let's go on that. So here's the transfer case I picked up. It's out of another Trailblazer, and kind of the big difference between the all-wheel drive and the four-wheel drive transfer case is this spot right here. This is the encoder motor that goes with the switch, and electronic gear that rotates this gear to put it in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. The one problem I'm having here is I think I have it in two-wheel drive right now, but when I spin the gear, I'm still getting movement on the front spline here. However, it's not really much. This is potentially neutral because nothing. You're not even on the other end is spinning. And then I think those are the four-wheel drives. And I think there you go, that's engaged. So I think that's what's supposed to be the two-wheel drive, However, there may be something wrong with it. I'm not sure. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in the truck. If it's still somehow in four-wheel drive, this will still spin, but it shouldn't really cause me an issue because I'm not going to have the front drive shaft hooked up so the front diff's not spinning and so forth. Just kind of temporary so I can actually be able to move the truck around, because right now, that's blocking the GTO in, and this thing I'm, kind of down because I started working on it to do some other things, and then Trailblazer breaks. So let's go ahead and I'm going to get the other transfer case dropped out, and get this put in. This really shouldn't be too bad. So they're away, and it's got 5 bolts that connect it to the transmission, and you just have that drive shaft over there that I need to disconnect. And then this one, I'll just unbolt it from the front diff, then just drop it out. So let me go ahead and do all that. Hey everyone, so it's the next day. I was having a heck of a time with one of the nuts yesterday, and then the mess of transmission fluid, so I decided to call it quits for the day and then come back today. So all-wheel drive here on the left, the 4-wheel drive unit here on the right. Big difference between the all-wheel drive unit and then the 226 4-wheel drive unit is you have the selector here, which we were kind of going at earlier in the video when I was kind of going with the vice grips, selecting through. That is not there on the all-wheel drive unit, and then plus there's also this sensor and then another one on the other side that are blocked off, so you really don't need to worry about that one and breather and so forth. A few tips from my experience on this is drain out the gear fluid from it just to make it lighter when you're dropping it down, and also when you're pulling it. I should have left the bolts holding the front U-joint to the front differential, just because when I was trying to pull the transfer case out, obviously, it's pulling the drive shaft with it, and I had to get a pry bar in there to pry it out, and made things a little more difficult. So I'd recommend leaving, just loosen, just start loosening them just a little bit, and then once that'll hold the drive shaft in its spot, so then when you're pulling that, you're just pulling away and keeps it. You don't have to worry about damaging that or whatever. So that, far as the bolts, they're 15 millimeter nuts. You will have to take an assortment of extensions and even the angle socket piece adapter, some box wrenches to get those nuts. And as I said, it was a bit messy when I removed that. I had a bunch of transmission fluid come out, more than I would have thought, but some of the guys online were saying various things of how much fluid would come out. I probably had maybe half a quart. I don't think a full quart, but probably at least half a quart came out. So obviously I'm going to have to top off the transmission fluid, and since, as I said, drain out the gear fluid in this just to make it lighter when you're pulling it down. Because more than likely, if you're having to, even if you're not doing the swap, but maybe you're just wanting to replace the gasket, which, by the way, only goes on one way. When I looked at the other one, there's this big paper part of it, this nub, I want to call it, that's on the top here. Otherwise, when you're trying to circle the gasket around, the bolt holes won't line up. So these are not equal distance. It kind of looks like they are, but with the gasket, it's not. So the gasket will only go on one way correctly. So you don't really need to worry about that. So what I'm going to do is I need to finish cleaning. Well, I need to finish cleaning, this a bit, just so I'm not having all this gunk in the transmission fluid after this goes back on, as well as I need to scrape what's left of the gasket material off of the transmission up there, and then clean up a bit around here, because that, as you can see, was a bit messy. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all that done here, and then I will be back with you guys once I have it all put back together. Hey everyone. So it is several weeks later after the other little clip. Um, Actually, I got the truck put back together about a week ago for the most part. So went to put the other transfer case in, and the way of laying on your back and trying to lift that thing up is a really big pain in the butt. Um, so what I did, tried using a jack to try to lift it up and whatnot, but it's kind of awkward sitting on the jack, and then you have to sit the uh, transfer case at an angle up in there because of the floor. So went and borrowed a transmission jack. Um, you had to do it. You had to do it. It was the one from Harbor Freight that actually has those ears on the side, so you have to kind of push the transfer case back a bit and so forth. My buddy Alex, my buddy with the white Trailblazer, that we did the hood shocks on a while back. He's the one who helped me put it in. So we lifted the transfer case up a bit. Not all, we couldn't do it all the way because you still had to tilt the transfer case. So we get it up, and then we're able to get it up in there, get everything bolted back up, lowered it down, and I didn't have the electric motor on. I'll get to that here in a second. I tried to start it up, and well, battery's dead. So, and my jump pack was dead. So I had to, charge both of those up and so forth. A couple days later, I'm trying it, and I noticed that I wasn't getting any power to the wheels. I mean, I could go in reverse just fine, and then put it in first gear, and it was just kind of crawling. So I was guessing the transfer case wasn't getting selected right because the electric motor wasn't on. So what happened with the electric motor? I'm an idiot. So the one video, if you ever watch the those for converting all-wheel drive to two-wheel drive, the one guy there tells you open up the casing and then rotate the motor until you have the selector in the spot you want. So I was impatient, hooked up a drill to it just to spin it faster because he was saying it takes a lot of turning to get it to go, and ended up grinding the gears in there, and it got jammed. So it got to a spot where it was not usable. So I had to go looking for another motor. $100 brand new on Amazon, or a bit more through Rock Auto, O'Reilly's, AutoZone. But I'm like, well, I really don't need a brand new one because it's not going to be plugged in, because obviously the wiring isn't there for the four-wheel drive selector. So did some checking around. One auto place showed $40 online near me. Called them up. They actually said, well, they didn't have any in stock. Called another yard, and they said they could only sell it with the transfer case, but they wanted $85. So I'm like, okay, well, let me still continue to check around. Check a third place. They said $75 for it. I'm like, no, thank you. If I'm going to spend that much, I might as well just pay the extra $10, and I'll have a spare transfer case just in case something was wrong with this one. I mean, I paid $40 for this particular transfer case. So get that. I get the motor off. I was going to open it up so I could rotate it because that transfer case was in like 4 high. At least that's the way I think of it. Because I was saying in the other clip where I think it's two-wheel drive, neutral, 4 high, 4 low. I believe that's how it goes for zero. I'm not a big 4-wheel drive guy, so I think 4 low is the crawl one. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, so I tried to take the casing off, and the torque spits did not want to come undone, and I stripped them. So I was not getting that case open unless I decided to try to extract the screws and so forth. And honestly, it's not that big of a deal for me. So I was like, you know what, we'll just try it in 4 high and see what happens. So I get this transfer case into that spot, get the motor on, get it meshed up, bolt it down, get it out on the road, and hey, it's moving just fine. So everything's back together now. I'm gonna go out here for a little test video for you guys. So stay tuned. So I'd say, in conclusion, that was well worth it. I mean, I spent $40 for that used transfer case. You can find them anywhere from that low up to, you know, 200 or so for a 226 transfer case. Otherwise, if you, and the nice thing is, if I decide to, I can always go back to the all-wheel drive, no problem. I just have to fix whatever's wrong up in the front, which I think it's the piece on the passenger side, the coupler disconnect thing. But like I said, that's all between, you know, $200 to $400 for that piece. Or I can strip the rest of the all-wheel drive stuff out, make the front end lighter, and just have a really good, fun, make my toy even funner. I mean, like I said, she's not going to be driving back in the winter anymore since I have the other truck now. So no need really for the all-wheel drive. It made sense before, but not anymore. So $40 for a fairly cheap and easy-ish way to make your Trailblazer from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive. You can go further if you want to convert the transmission output shaft and get a tail shaft for it, and then get a drive shaft. But obviously that's going to cost more than just the, you know, $40 to $200 or so just for a transfer case, and be done with it. So if you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, please give me a subscribe. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching.